the internet. It's why you're here, and also currently how you're here. I just want to quickly cover how the internet works, and then we'll just so you get a kind of a rough overview, because obviously that's inevitably what you'd be interacting with your website. You'd have to upload it onto the World Wide Web. Okay, so basically, I'm just going to do it over here so you can kind of see. You're going to have a user, preferably it's a cat, okay? What the cat's going to do is it's going to type in using its device, right? So basically a computer, a mobile device, a console, right? There's any number of devices now that we can utilize in order to access the internet, but basically it's going to use this device. It's going to use a web browser. There are a number of web browsers. There's more all the time. Probably Chrome, though. It's like 80% of the share. Then with their browser, they're going to connect to their internet service provider, right? Who you probably hate. Most people hate their internet service providers. And they're going to insert a web address, okay? So the web address is going to look something like this. Basically, you have the protocol, the hypertext transfer protocol. If you look up here, if I click on this, you'll see it says HTTP and then S. S just means it's secure. Generally speaking, you only want to go to websites that have the S in it, because it just means it doesn't have a virus in it. Protocol, then it's going to be the host computer, okay? Then the directory path and the actual file name that you are logging into, okay? So basically, they're going to go on their computer, they're going to go onto their browser, they're going to type in that, all right? Now, what that's going to do is it's actually going to use what they call the domain name system, the DNS, and the idea of that is like a phone book. I don't even know if you guys know what phone books are anymore, but basically a phone book was a big old book, and it had everyone's phone numbers in it, and it had names associated with those phone numbers. So if you knew somebody, like, oh, I want to get a hold of John Cone, you'd look up John Cone, and then dot, 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 and there'd be a little number, and be like, okay, and then you could call them. It's the same idea here. So when you go onto my website, this isn't actually the website name. The website name uses an IP address, okay? So, and I don't know if you're familiar with IP addresses, but they're like 111.64.734. It's a series of numbers, but no one's gonna memorize those in order to contact them, right? Like if you want to go to Google, you're not going to type in 11.34.6666. A lot of sixes. You're not going to type in a bunch of those, okay? You're just going to write in Google. It just makes it easier. So anyway, you're going to type in using the domain name service. That's going to associate what you're typing in. So it would be Teach Me Cone with that IP address. That's going to go to the server that's currently holding that has that IP address associated with it. Okay, so that holds all the files. It holds the code, the images, any rich media, so videos, audio, anything all the elements that make the website. Then what's going to do is that server, when you contact it, it's going, oh, you want this page, and then it's going to send it back to you. So basically, every web page that you see, you are downloading the web page, the code, all the stuff that's in it, and it gets interpreted by the browser. And what that means is that if you use a Google Chrome browser and if you use an Opera browser, the way that the page looks actually could be different because it might read the code slightly not the same. And there's some issues with that. There's always a bunch of issues. People always complain about Internet Explorer. I don't even know. Now it's Windows Edge or something. I don't know. Nobody uses it, right? I mean, everyone has it installed. Your grandma uses it. But basically, it gets interpreted by the browser, and then that's what you see. You see this graphical interface, but it's actually a bunch of code and just images that are being read by this, okay? And that's how the internet works. Or that's how a typical user path would work, right? So now, past that, if you look underneath here, if you would so desire, I just have a video here that if you want to enrich yourself, it's sort of the history of how the internet came to be. There may be better videos out there. I thought this one was good, but you don't have to watch it. I also have this one that's just a more in-depth version of kind of what I said. There might be little differences, but more or less you'll get the idea of how that works as well. Like I said, neither one, they're probably pretty long, so I wouldn't even suggest watching them. But if it's something, if you're going to go into web design, you might want to view some of these things. So I just added those in there as extra little, enrichment. Okay? That's it.